All right, we're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel, who was in the news because of an alleged joke he made about Melania Trump having a glow of a widow, which I didn't even know existed. I didn't know widows had glows. Good morning. Welcome to the show. I'm with,
Expectant widow.
widows, yes. I'm with Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church, and of course, my co host, Pastor Alfredo Romero of Rock of Life Fellowship. Good morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Okay, first of all, I have to say this because when my father died, my mother did not have a glow. She was very sad, and so I don't even understand the joke to begin with because I don't know too many widows who are glad to be a widow. It just seems like a very awkward, unsubstantiated joke, I suppose. I don't know. Let's open up the floor. Bishop, your immediate thoughts on what Kimmel said, and should he be fired? Was it funny? Was it amusing? What was the point of what he was trying to say?
Well, I think in the green room we were kind of talking about death by natural causes and a relief that may come to a spouse after a long time of care.
Right.
And we get it, a joy that the suffering is over, that life can kind of recycle, begin again. People can do that. That's not the situation that Kimmel was talking about. He's talking about an assassination because that's what's in the air. That's what he was kind of tapping to. And an expectant widow means she's hoping for him to
Yes.
get hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of a presumption, of course, it doesn't exist, but and doing it at her expense, she's got to be sitting on pins and needles every time some wacko with a gun gets close to her husband, and close enough to put a bullet through his earlobe.
He claimed on his show the following night that it had nothing to do with an assassination. It had to do with that President Trump is almost 80 years old.
That's a lie.
That is
That-
so untrue.
That is very hard to believe, and especially since we've already seen how close that bullet came to hitting him in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Right.
It seems like such of a distasteful commentary. I hate to call it a joke because I don't think there's anything funny about it. But I guess what discouraged me was his audience after he said it howled with laughter.
Oh, yeah.
That's troublesome.
Yeah, I saw John Fetterman in an interview last night, and he came out and said, this has got to stop. He said, this is all blamed on Trump derangement syndrome. Ever since Trump came down that escalator, people have wanted him dead because he's a threat to their power. That's just the bottom line. Now, there's a viral video out there right now where this gentleman is on the video, and he says, and he's a young guy, too. He's probably in his 20s. And he says, I don't know where people get the idea of assassinating Trump like this. I just don't know where it comes from. And then it was 2 minutes of clips. It was Madonna saying, I've thought about blowing up the White House. It was Johnny Depp saying, when's the last time an actor killed the president? Somebody else said, it was a famous actress whose name I didn't know. She says, where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him? There was another representative, and I guess I won't say his name, but he said Trump needs a bullet. And it was constant barragement of these celebrities saying, it was Jack Black's band, Tenacious D, at a concert, one of the guys had a birthday, and they brought a cake out, and he made a wish, and his wish, he said out loud, was, next time don't miss. And it was just, and then it showed, and then this gentleman who hosted the video said, that's just celebrities, though. Regular people, normal people, never say anything like that.
They have definitely done that because all you have to do is look at Facebook and you've seen average people say they're
Yeah, and then it was a barrage of people saying he needs to die.
Well,
Celebrities use their exemplar and their influence for shifting the culture.
Well, make sure Kimmel's voice is heard. I want to say what he said. He said that, quoting, he called it a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassinate, and he says they know that. He says, I've been very vocal for many years, speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and also I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I really do. And I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it. So now she put the onus on her.
On him,
her
yeah.
and them.
Him. Yeah. I
Hypocrite.
Yeah, it's hard to understand, and I think one of the things to talk about is we talked last week about the importance of humor in a Christian's life, and humor is important in a Christian's life, but some things are off limits, but some things aren't, and by the way, I want to point out that this kind of back and forth about death has gone on both sides. I remember when Hillary Clinton was ill for a while, and there were some jokesters on the conservative side that had said, "Well, Bill Clinton sure must be happy right now." Well, people laughed, who agreed with who may have been on the conservative side, but I have to be honest with you, I don't think that was funny either.
Well, the joke was not about murder. Let's put that out there.
Well, it's still about
The
death.
joke was, yeah, but it was not about murder. It's a big difference between somebody passing away from natural causes and somebody calling people to assassinate somebody.
And cheering
Huge
for it
difference.
before
And
it
cheering
happens.
for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then the other big thing about that is, I know there's crazy fanatics on all, whatever, how many sides there are, libertarian, independent, Republican, Democrat, Green Party, whatever. There's crazies on every side. They're just natural crazies in society. I have never in my life, and I'm 64, I've never in my life ever heard anybody talk about a president the way they do now. From politicians to celebrities, I've never. If they would have said this about Obama, there'd be arrests, there'd be firings, or Clinton or anybody.
It is hard to imagine a comedian getting away with saying that Michelle Obama would have the glow of an expectant
Expectant
widow.
widow,
I would find that hard to believe that the
Yeah.
media would view that as being something that's humorous.
Yeah.
No, it would never end.
Right.
They'd come after it.
Well, I was thinking about this. There is, if there's a time and distance between a tragic event, perhaps it can be funny. And you think about it's a very famous joke that
Yeah.
people use about Abraham Lincoln. This is 160 years ago, keep in mind. And somebody would say, well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Right.
Aha.
I've heard that. Yeah.
We've heard that. But would that kind of humor apply to, for example, the Kennedys? Other than that, Jackie, how was the
How was the
car
ride? Yeah, how was the ride through Dallas?
That would not be funny.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because there's not enough distance between the time. That's still, 60 years ago. Or is it because we have visualizations now? We don't have images of Abraham Lincoln being shot. If we did, it might not be funny to make a joke about, well, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah.
Because we don't have the visual images that we do now. I don't think there'll ever come a time when it would be funny to make make light in any way of the assassination of President Kennedy.
No.
Because it's so visual. You see, it's just so graphic. Sometimes you want to turn your head away. And likewise, we have the visualization of how close President Trump came to getting shot and killed when it grazed his ear, the bullet did. But that's not enough. That's just a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and they're making jokes about it.
It's also the ability to reach 50, 100, 200 million people in an instant with your joke. You know, I mean, I'm sure some people never heard that Lincoln joke. Why? Because it was said at a time where there's no social media.
Kimmel made some bad taste comments after Erica's husband got murdered
True.
with the visuals.
Charlie
And,
Kirk.
and this is supposed to be, it's probably right-wingers who killed him or something. He made
Yeah.
some sort of stupid,
Well, should and the mistake people are making, and it's people in the press who know better. They say, well, this is a First Amendment issue. It is not a First Amendment
No, it's
issue.
not.
It's not. The
No.
First Amendment issue relates to the government passing a law. Now, somebody who says what he said cannot be arrested, put in jail.
your First Amendment
Yes.
saves you from being arrested and put in jail for this. But you can be fired for saying anything
Right.
that's out of line.
Yeah,
by a private
it's
employer
not-
or even by a government agency.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not against the law, and you hear this all the time. It's not against the law to run into a firehouse, to a movie house and say fire, fire. But there's repercussions from it. There's consequences for doing something like that.
Yeah.
And so this is, at the essence of this, I was listening to two commentators, and they said, this wasn't stupid, this is evil.
Yeah.
This is absolutely evil, calling for somebody's death. Now, as a Christian believer, we pray for enemies. We love our enemies. We lift people up. We edify them. We don't bring them down. This is so far from godly. It sickens me.
Sometimes I wonder whether, and if you had to make a choice, you can't say both. Okay, Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, you have to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Is he insensitive, or is he just plain stupid? I know it's tempting to say both,
Yeah.
but which is more predominant? Maybe he's just not as bright a person as maybe other people make him out to be. If he can't see this, if he can't comprehend in greater detail what he said and the significance of it, it makes me wonder, maybe he's really not that bright.
Well, no, he's not, and he's inebriated with the power of his voice and his ability to reach a certain crowd. But they control the crowd. They're not going to go to a CPAC group like that and try a joke.
Sure.
Like he wouldn't get out of there.
He's playing to his own audience.
That's all.
And he
It's an
thinks,
echo chamber.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say is that if you could change the choice from, what'd you say? What were the two choices? Insensitive or
Insensitive or being stupid.
if I could change the word from stupid to ignorant, it's like he knows, but he doesn't know the truth. He knows what he's doing. Like this apology is nothing but a farce. It's a lie. Yeah. But he's ignorant of the truth of God's word. He's ignorant of the truth of what love really is and what God calls us to do. And even if he views Trump as an enemy, as a believer, he would never do anything like this. So he's ignorant to the truth of the gospel, because believers should not. And if we do, we should be convicted by the Holy Spirit. We should not ever think things like this or say things like this. Mm-hmm. It's anti to what God would want us to do.
Jimmy Kimmel, just getting in the news all the time.
You can pray for him. You can pray for him.
Maybe that's just what he wants. We're giving him attention.
We're giving him attention.
What was that? What is it? Is no advertisement is bad advertisement or something?
Oh yeah, no publicity is bad publicity.
There you go.
Maybe
Just
maybe
spell
it's
the name
true.
right.
Just
Yeah.
spell the name right. Yeah, it's good. That music means we're going to take a break. All right, the Pope is in the news again, and this is a good time to have Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church here, and I emphasize the word Anglican because Pope Leo the 14th has vowed to keep working to overcome differences with the Anglican Communion. He met on Monday with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Sarah Mullally. Did I say that right?
Probably.
The first female leader of the Church of England. Leo acknowledged new problems have been added to historically divisive issues, but remains committed to dialogue. Anglican split from Rome in 1534. Mm-hmm. So that's we're nearing the 500th anniversary of the split.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we just recently had the 500-year split of the Lutheran Church.
492 years ago.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so her appointment has divided the Anglican Communion, with some conservative groups opposing her leadership. But let's pretend for a second, Bishop, that she is somebody that everybody agrees with, and because I think there's issues that the fact that she's a woman is an issue for some people in the Anglican Church.
Sure. You want me to comment on that?
Not necessary.
The fact is there are women ministers who I befriend, and they're not going to be in my church because we have the line that says 2,000 years of the church obeying what Jesus did by example, if not by direct command. We're sticking with that, but that doesn't mean that somebody else's church can't have a woman and called a pastor or a minister or something like that. I've got, like I say, I have good friends among those women, and I don't. It's not my church. I don't have to make rules for them.
What are the differences that the two are talking about, Pope Leo and Ms. Mullally? What kind of dialogue? What's the differences?
The differences between what is traditional and Anglicanism. I don't know exactly what her current causes may be. Mm-hmm. I know that almost all the candidates for this new archbishop seat were very strong for LGBTQ XYZ.
Yeah.
They want to promote all that, so there's probably a difference there.
Yeah.
But that's a modern problem. The historical problems with Anglicanism and Rome are those medieval beliefs that became hardened laws in the Roman Church, like transubstantiation that says the bread and the wine cease to be bread and wine and are factually and materially the body and blood of Christ, only they look like bread and wine. Now that's an explanation that goes beyond the need for us Anglicans, and it's not a biblical stance, but they make it a belief necessary for salvation. Same with the Immaculate Conception of Mary.
Do you see there being any type of agreement between your church, the Anglican Church, and the Roman Catholic Church in this area, or will it remain divided?
Well, I can't see anything that's going to convince me that my position is wrong. But again, as I say, that's their church. They have the ability to make their rules. They're the world's largest religious organization, and God bless them, and God bless Pope Leo.
Well, Pope
But
Leo
I'm
is
not going to become a Roman Catholic.
right. Pope Leo is on a tour in Africa, and he said many things that have caused a lot of controversy. Of course, a week ago it had to do with the war, and saying that war is not something that anybody should be aiming for, and that God is opposed to that. But lately he's been talking about, and this is from MSN Now, actually, Pope Leo signaling a shift away from the Catholic Church's focus on sex, and needs to be focused more on issues like social justice. And he says the unity or division of the church should not revolve around sexual matters, according to Leo. He said, I believe there are much greater and more important issues such as justice, equality, that would all take priority before that particular issue, referring to sex. Well, I don't think we're talking about sex. I think that people who might disagree with him are saying we're talking about sin.
Sexual immorality, right? Sin.
What's the Pope's motive here? What's he trying to accomplish by saying these things? He also talked about, we'll get to it momentarily, he also talked about the death penalty, how he thinks it's wrong. So he has really come out on a lot of issues. But on this issue of sex and trying to de-emphasize sex in talking about Catholic issues, what's he trying to do, Bishop?
I don't know, and that's the problem. It's a vague statement. The Roman Church has hidden for a long time, and I don't want to make this like a big accusation, but
Sure.
they've had plenty of sex scandals where the clergy have been involved with sexual immorality, and most of the instances are man on boy. And if you say, well, let's not talk about sex, it sounds a little like you're trying to hide the monkey, or look away from these kind of problems. If he says, well, it's the sexual orientation of the participants, we want everybody in church, and we'll figure this out. Yeah, okay, we do. We want people to come to the Lord, and if they're still in a kind of sin, we hope to be able to influence them away over time, and we don't want to make sex the issue of entering the door. I can see that if that's what he means, but he's not saying that very clearly.
Right.
Yeah, because there's God created sex, and then there's fleshly desires, immorality, sexual sin. Two different things
And he created a man and he created a woman.
to multiply. Yes.
Yeah, for a reason. I've always said that the differences that we've had between the Anglican Church and the Roman Church could be settled if the Pope would marry the Archbishop of Canterbury, and then we got to hope that one of them is a woman.
Actually, I'm looking at them. They look like they'd make a nice couple.
I'm sure they will.
So Leo was Pope Leo ever was he ever married? He was never married.
I don't
Did
know
he
his
take that
history.
vow of
Doubtful.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's unlikely he would have. If he had, he would have
I
been.
mean, there are priests who
Yeah.
could qualify for that, but I wouldn't say.
So I know that there's pastors out there that like their message is politically founded. They're very into the politics, and every Sunday it's a political message.
Yeah.
Okay, that's them. That's not really me. My job is I'm a messenger. I'm a shepherd. I read the Bible and I tell people what God is saying. It's not my opinions, it's not my thoughts. I don't get up there and say, I think you should. No, my opinions, thoughts don't matter. It's the holy word of God. That's the truth that matters. So I get up there and I just preach it. I share it. I give the message to the people. And hopefully they see the light and they feel the Spirit and they give their lives over to Christ. That's my main job.
Sure.
I would love it if some of these leaders, and I will say like the Pope, would drop the political commentary and the social justice and the political topics of the day and just preach the gospel and help people come to a relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ. I think that should be the purpose of any spiritual leader.
But I think some people would say that's exactly what the Pope is trying to do here. They're saying exactly he's doing what you're saying he should do. And there's a reverend, an academician with Boston College who says the Pope is, quote, stating that the Vatican has a hierarchy of concerns and the perception that matters of sexuality have singular priority of place is not the case. And what he's saying is we need to de-emphasize all of these sexual moral issues and focus on what you're saying, focusing on Christ. So let me ask the bishop, do you think that maybe the Pope is onto something here by saying, let's de-emphasize this, let's get people into the church first?
Well, I think standing as a pope, you're not necessarily the evangelical officer of the church. You do stand as a standard.
Morality.
You've got to speak truth very loudly, with love, but with some ability to translate the truth of the church's teachings, and the faith founded in what the apostles wrote and gave us, and what Jesus stood for. That's got to be there. The popes have been criticized, and I take it I don't remember which pope it was, but during World War II, that was not speaking up against Nazi Germany.
I want to say it was Pius, but I might be wrong.
And there's a lot of Piuses, so yeah. So was he wrong to be silent on that issue? Was he skirting the line? Was he trying to curry favor both ways? And was he avoiding a political issue? People would want him to stand up and say, "This is wrong, Adolf."
Although maybe it's best not to dip your toes into that arena to begin with.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's what this Pope has done just a couple of weeks ago.
He's pretty much condemned President Trump for waging the war against.
He actually backed off that, and I know the media said that Trump kind of backed off. It was not. The person who backed off of it was the Pope.
Yes, he was.
And he was the one who said, I didn't mean it to be directed solely at President Trump. And I guess maybe, I'm not sure that's. I'm not going to question
I've never
the Pope.
seen Trump back off.
Yeah, he's not the kind of guy
I
that's going
think
to back off.
well, let me ask you a question. Do you think this statement is also a reflection of him trying to back off from that kind of tete-a-tete that he had with President Trump?
It could be. It could be. It's hard to say.
Oh, well, let's refocus here.
We only have about 30 seconds left in the show. I want to make sure that we have I wish we had more time. We could continue the discussion about this because the Pope has said a lot of things lately, and whether we like it or not, if you're a Protestant or a Roman Catholic or an Anglican or what have you, there's many people who don't know that Pope Leo does not speak for the entire church, but he speaks for a particular part of the church.
That's true.
And I think sometimes that gets lost. And I want to thank Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church. They have a 10 o'clock service time Sunday morning in downtown Chico over on Salem Street. Thank you again, sir, for being with us.
I'm a Giants fan, and he's a White Sox fan, so.
There you go. I'm a Dodger fan. It's a lot of differences.
How can you not be a Cubs fan? I mean, come on. Okay, we're done for the day.
Adios.
Take good care. So long.